Hi everyone, it's Sheen, and today we will be talking about Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. So, Great Expectations is one of Charles Dickens' most famous and acclaimed books. It has won, I don't know if it has won any awards because back then, it was the 1800s. I don't know if there were any awards back there, but it is very famous. And it's like read in so many high schools, but that's not the reason I chose this book to talk about. I chose it because one day I read this book and I realized that it was such a good book filled with so many amazing themes. So let's dive right into one of Charles Dickens' best works ever. So this video is gonna go like this. First, themes, then, themes are gonna make, this is a video about themes, and in the end, I'm gonna be comparing this with some of the other Dickens books, and then talking about what we will do next in this channel. Let's dive right in. So first, the first theme about Great Expectations, and I hope that everybody has read this book or has like a really good idea of the book. Like they know what happens like in the entire book. They know the storyline, they know like the main characters and all of that, because I will be making an introduction for Great Expectations as well, but I do also want to, just have a video like that talks about themes more in depth for those who have read it. So, friends are more important than money. That's the first theme. They're like the constant and most helpful thing. Our friends are the most constant helpful thing in the world. They're like your true family. So, I think that this is really apparent in the fact that Pip goes and he has all these great expectations. So he goes to London and he lives a lavish life. But in the end, money deserts him. Money goes away from him. And in the end, it is those friends that he had when he was little who were the ones who supported him when he was sick, who paid off his debt, and who helped him rebound from that struggle. I think that obviously not a lot of us are suddenly going to, get a phone call or something or an email that says, you've got great expectations, go to London. Many of us would, in this untrusting world of today would just think it as a scam, but that's not the point. I think that the point that Dickens is trying to show us is this. Friends are very constant. They're one of the best things you can have, and they're even better than money. While that situation itself might not be realistic, a lot of allegories and stuff just aren't realistic. Consider Animal Farm. It's like animals. But just because it isn't realistic doesn't mean that it gives a message. This is a very good, important message here. Friends are just more important than money, are more constant, and are the ones that actually makes a difference. Not money, which is just something that you can have but also lose. Friends, you can't lose them easily. Now, I also think that this is really good because note that Dickens really does not talk about Pip's mother and father a lot, right? They're just kind of ignored, and so Pip's family, the people who actually care for him, are his friends. There is Herbert, his best friend. There is Joe, the blacksmith, and Pip's brother-in-law. And there's Biddy, who's at the end of the book is married to Joe. Those are the people who actually support, help, and love him. It's not his parents or his sister or anybody like that. No, it's those people who are not actually related to him. And that really also I think reinforces the fact that the friends are the true family, not just people who are connected to you by blood. So I think that's like one of the most important themes from Great Expectations. If you're gonna take one thing away from this amazing book, then take that theme away. Friends, it's just really important. Friendship, loyalty, all of that, that's just filled in Great Expectations. But most of us are not just going to take one thing away from this video, so let's go to number 2. Theme number 2, that's relying on your hard work, not other people's hard work. So I think this is a smaller theme, but I also think that it is important. It comes up when, Pip, he lives this life that's kind of meaningless until he actually loses his great expectations, because before that he had 500 pounds a year, which is thousands of dollars in like hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars in today's money. And, he doesn't do any work, but then that goes away. He has no structure. He's immediately indebted. He goes down and gets sick. However, he does become successful again. He works hard, becomes a clerk, and then a partner at a company, and then in the end, he lives happily ever after. Sure, he doesn't get as much money as he's in a billion, a multi-millionaire anymore, but he's very successful. He works hard and he lives happily, which is good enough for many people. I think that this is a very important theme. Dickens is trying to say, and this is kind of like Friends as well, but your hard work isn't gonna desert you. It's not something that, let's say you're just writing a book. You're like, oh, I wrote this entire book. You spent hours on this book. That book is going to help you succeed, right? At least it's not going to disappear one day, right? But let's say that you're relying on another person's book, but then, the sales of that other person's book come to you. But one day, the other person says, okay, I'm just gonna take this book off of the market. That means that you suddenly don't get that money. So in the end, I feel like this is really good. Relying on your hard work means that you rely on something that you made and that only you can take away. Relying on somebody else's work means that that person can take it away. It's just more dangerous. And this is kind of actual reality as well, but also it's also an important lesson I think that Dickens is trying to say. You should you should just rely on yourself and your friends, not on just mysterious great expectations and things like that, right? Rely on yourself, work hard, be happy. So that's kind of a big theme as well. In other words, basically just rely on your hard work. That's the best thing that you can do. Number 3 is to be generous, and perhaps the world will repay you. So this is kind of a theme, theme. So I don't know. Some people are gonna say, I don't know if this is being generous or not, right? This is something that probably is not gonna happen a lot, and many people just ignore it because it's so unrealistic. But Pip, one day he runs into a convict. The convict forces him to give him food, and in return, the convict was a person who gave Pip all of his great expectations, which is really amazing. And I think that it shows an important lesson. Be kind to even those who are seem to be bad, because in the end, the world will in some way repay you. If you're kind and nice to everybody, then the world will appreciate you and it will try to pay you back. So, this seems more fit for maybe a preschool book, right? One of those books about friendship and kindness and sharing. But I think that it's actually a really important theme, because that really comes up, I feel the fact that such a small move, a few bits of food, could have led to Pip's millions of dollars, I feel is maybe not realistic, but a way that Dickens is trying to show. Kindness matters, generosity matters. So that's another very good theme. Then there's all of that the general idea of social status, wealth, class, and the allure of money. It's not a theme as in, a lesson or anything like that, but more of a theme, right? Just social status, wealth, class, the allure of money, all of those things come up. So if you really want to focus on that, those are some very good things to focus on, right? Miss Havisham, Mr. Jaggers, the convict, Herbert, Pip, the convict is a convict and yet he's very rich. That's a way of going up the social status. Miss Havisham and Estella are those at the top of the social status, and those below always try to get to that area, to that ranking. So that's kind of the people who are climbing up the ladder of social status. You can view that as Pip. So there's all of these different connections. It's not nothing to really dwell about, because honestly it's kind of obvious, but these are some key points that you should focus on as well if, I don't know, you're just analyzing the book further. Then Dickens also wants to talk about the theme of thievery and how some people are going to betray you, especially those people who are vain and who fill the world a lot, those tricksters, right? There's like Mr. Pumblechook. Mr. Pumblechook, he's like, when he treated Pip very badly, but when he learned that Pip had become famous, suddenly he was giving Pip the best meat, the best wine, kissing his hand, and shaking his hand. And then when Pip went away, Mr. Pumblechook spread rumors about how he had been the one who had guided Pip to his great expectations, and now Pip wasn't doing anything for him. So it's kind of like, yeah, I think that thievery and how people can be so mean and tricky and kind of cheat people. I think, and like cheating. I think that that's a very big theme as well. I think that Dickens is also trying to show from this example that not everybody is actually acting as your friend. Not everybody who's acting as your friend is your friend. That sometimes many people are going to be going for other reasons, such as personal gain and wealth and greed. So that's like greed, personal gain, thievery. Those are some other themes that are really explored by the character of Mr. Pumblechook, which Charles Dickens artfully puts in to represent those things, right? And that's like another big theme that you can explore. And then finally, and like, just look at Miss Havisham as well. Miss Havisham led Pip on to believe that she was his benefactor, which she wasn't, but that was also kind of a personal gain. While it wasn't exactly the same thing for like money or wealth or social status, I still feel that Dickens just wanted to show from this book that there are tricksters out there, that one must be careful, and that many people are fueled by their personal gain. There's also Orlick, for example, but I'm not gonna go into that. I feel like those things, that example, Mr. Pumblechook was good enough. But you can also consider that the example of Orlick, a previous assistant to Joe, as another one. As Orlick tried to kill Pip by tricking him into going to the marshes. So that's like always the theme of tricksters runs high throughout the book. Then there is about how the law is not effective, right? Like, the law captures those who are not actually that guilty while letting others really go. In the end, the law doesn't do anything and just kills Magwitch, Pip's dear friend and benefactor, and just it doesn't really do anything in the end, right? So that's the thing. The law doesn't actually catch Orlick when he injures Pip's sister. The law doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really do anything good. Sometimes Pip and Herbert and his friends, they're going against the law, but that isn't necessarily bad. It's not morally bad. It's just that the law does sometimes not do its duty and like promote peace. So that's another thing. So maybe this is just talking about law in general. Maybe Dickens wants to talk about that. Or you can also think of this as kind of a statement about how things that are supposed to be good maybe not be good, or maybe just because something is deemed to be really good and official doesn't mean that it is. So that's authority isn't always good, right? Sometimes you need to look at the other side as well, other side as well. So those are some all really good themes that you can get from that. Well, those were some of the main themes that I found in Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. While there are more, those are the main themes. So I know there are a lot of main themes. There's so many themes, but those 6, the law, Mr. Pumblechook, thievery, self-gain, stuff like that, the general idea of social status, wealth, class, and the lure of money, being generous and the fact that it can repay you, relying on your work and yourself, not other people, and finally, that friends are more important than money and are the most constant and helpful thing that exists and can be the true family. These 6 themes, I feel, really come up a lot. And while there are other themes, for example, I've read some amazing literary analyses which talk about what Estella represents and all that. And I feel that reading these literary analyses are not like cheating. It's not tricking somebody. I think that many people say, oh, but that means that you don't actually think for yourself. But I feel that's not really true. I feel that as you're absorbing that information, you actually gain an understanding of the book, which is kind of the point of those assignments. And in the end, you gain a better understanding of that book. You actually learn about those themes and things that you should be getting from the book, and which is the only reason that you actually read the book. And you also gain a better understanding. You can sort of be like, oh, that's why this came up. And then you can actually help you and give you examples so that in the future you yourself can identify those themes. And sometimes there are some amazing themes that like even I couldn't catch up on, and those were there. Why should you be ignoring that? Like the whole entire purpose of learning is doing that. So there's nothing wrong about reading literary analyses or watching them, like this video. Okay, now let's compare. But now I promised you a comparison with other books as well. The Tale of Two Cities, and so this is also kind of a guidebook for those who are not familiar with Dickens. Great Expectations is one of Dickens' most acclaimed novels, but A Tale of Two Cities is even more famous than the Great Expectations. It's just a great book. It's even more successful than Great Expectations in my I think so. I am currently almost done with it. I think it's a great book. Honestly, personally, I like Great Expectations more, but A Tale of Two Cities is great as well. It's full of drama, French Revolution, war. It's kind of bloody, but honestly, in today's world, everybody's watching PG-13 movies and all that, and it doesn't really graphically describe anything, and so it's okay. Oliver Twist is very, very famous, right? Everybody's heard of Oliver Twist, and honestly, I enjoyed the other two books more, but Oliver Twist is also an amazing book and really fun, and it's chock full of themes. And I have made a video about Oliver Twist, so please check that out. Then there's Nicholas Nickleby, which is a great book. Not as famous as the other books, but really good. I totally recommend it because there's so many themes about wealth, greed, hatred, selfishness, all of that I actually think there's more examples of that than maybe other books, even more than Oliver Twist. And then Pickwick Papers. The Pickwick Papers, it's a good, solid book. It's pretty good. But I mean, it's not that famous, but I think it's a pretty solid Dickens read. If you've read everything else, The Pickwick Papers is a good book to rely on. It's not good, it's solid, and it's good. Maybe not as good as other ones, are full of themes, but not bad. It was, and there are other books, but I feel like these are kind of the books that I've actually read and I remember right now. I've read other Dickens books, but I don't remember them well. But these are also the most famous books. Tale of Two Cities, Oliver Twist, and Great Expectations are Dickens' most famous books, and then Nicholas Nickleby and The Pickwick Papers are also some very acclaimed novels by Dickens. So basically, this makes up some of the most famous books that he has ever written. Next up on this channel, we will have some very interesting things. City Spies, the next book in the City Spies series has come out, and it actually came out a few months ago, so I'm planning on actually reading that and making a review of that. And finally, A Tale of Two Cities will be coming out. I've been working so long on A Tale of Two Cities, and it's a very long book, and I've been reading a lot of it. And that will be the next book. And I'll also make an introduction for those who have not read Great Expectations, so you can look forward to that as well if you want a quick refresh. So in the next few weeks, you can expect a lot more videos about Dickens. But of course, yeah, Dickens is amazing, but we have to focus on other authors as well. So we will go to some other authors as well. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. And as I always say, keep reading. Bye!